So the question before us is, how do you fix a problem like Twitter? And you could say to me, well, Tony, the Twitter problem has already been fixed. And I'll say to you, oh no, far from it, guys. The Twitter problem has been far from fixed because to fix it, it took $44 billion. And we haven't indeed fixed the problem. All we did was expose what we already knew the problem was. Welcome to the show, presented by Americans for Prosperity, AmericansForProsperity.org. I'm Tony Katz. Guys, good to be with you. It's a cold and rainy day, and I did a bunch of personal stuff today, and now enjoying this right here. That, kids, is the Arturo Fuente Masterpiece Hemingway Maduro. This cigar is a 9-inch cigar. I'm almost halfway through. Right now, it's a Cameron wrapper, which I adore. I am a sucker for a Cameron wrapper, which is often described as toothy, and you kind of feel it a little bit. And what it is, it's almost like this dimpling, if you will, in the wrapper in right here, that where oils get kind of trapped, and because of that, what happens is that you just, for me, you just get a more outrageous flavor. And this is a cigar that, while has a little bit of spice that lingers almost back throat, this is a very tobacco-forward cigar right here, and one that I can't get enough of. They're harder to find, but at 9 inches, you're talking about a 3-hour smoke. And I needed a lot of time because I've been thinking about this for a while. Does size matter? No. Size matters to the amount of time that you have to smoke the cigar. If you've got an hour 15, you're going to be in a Robusto. You're going to be in about that 5-inch range. I had time today, so I went with this right here. We know certain facts. We know certain things are 100% legit. We know that progressives aligned with the Democratic Party were purposefully keeping people from speaking on social media, on Twitter, specifically on Twitter. And we know this applies to Facebook as well. They kept people from speaking. They kept stories from being shared. You had Elon Musk giving the information to Matt Taibbi. You had him giving it to Barry Weiss. And what do we know? Shadow banning also happened. Extremely real. They kept people from being heard. They kept people from being shared. They made it so certain people were not noticed on the platform like they should have been under the rules of the normal algorithm. We know this for fact. But the only reason we know it for fact, even though we always knew it, is because Elon Musk spent $44 billion. $44 billion, which, by the way, is an insane thing to buy. You know how many NFL teams, how many NBA teams, how many MLB teams, how many soccer teams you can purchase for $44 billion? You know how many companies that really make money you can purchase for $44 billion? The answer is it is a ton of them. You can purchase an outrageous number of companies. Elon Musk didn't do that. And I have never looked at Elon Musk as a savior, because when people do something that you like, it doesn't mean that they won't do something you don't like down the road. And Elon Musk has not shown me that he's a conservative. Remember, Barry Weiss isn't a conservative. Matt Taibbi's not a conservative. But there are people, regardless of political party, regardless of your political ideology, that are very interested in freedom of speech and the importance of being able to exchange in the public square or really anywhere. And that's not something that progressives believe. This is not a debatable subject. These are the facts presented. Not that I had to share it with you. They did. Their actions tell you what it is they're all about. Everything that they're all about. And what they're all about is saying they know best, and you don't get to talk unless they think it's okay. Every single Twitter employee did this. And before we go on, I want to make sure I'm clear about something. I don't forgive Jack Dorsey. I don't want to hear about Jack Dorsey saying, hey, Elon Musk, why not just release everything? You don't need to give it to reporters. No. Jack Dorsey doesn't get to talk. Jack Dorsey knew what was going on. Jack Dorsey was aware of what's going on, and a lot happened without his knowledge. But when he found out, he did not open things up, share things out. He simply allowed things to happen by not firing people, by not firing the lawyer, Jim Baker, by not firing Gade, who was with security, and Yoel Roth and others. He didn't fire the key players in Twitter. No forgiveness from me. I don't want to hear about he's a good guy. I don't want to hear about how his hamstrung. He did not do what a leader's job is. The only way we have this information, and to give Elon Musk the credit where it's due, is that he spent $44 billion. In America, the truth costs $44 billion. That's what we just learned from this entire exercise. And this is obscene. What do you do about that problem? See, people see the problem as, well, look what Twitter did. No. The problem is that another platform can rise up, and this can all happen again and again and again and again and again. And it's going to take $44 billion to even learn the legitimacy of the problem again and again and again and again. So what do you do? How do you handle this? How do you put this together? Hold on one second while I take care of something really quick. Much better. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize there was a sound issue. How do you go about solving this problem? How do you go about these platforms that are engaged in this? How do you fix this? And the answer is $44 billion can't be the answer. $44 billion cannot be the answer. So let me give you what I think a solution is. So very good. The solution is the recognition that when you know there's a problem, don't ever stop mentioning that there's a problem. The political left was desperate to tell you it wasn't happening, desperate to tell you, oh, you're being silly, desperate to tell you this is all in your head, desperate to tell you that you're just bitter, desperate to tell you to buy your own platform, create your own platform. Well, they did. They did it with Parler. And what did the progressive left do? They prevented Parler from being on the App Store. They aren't allowing. They are desperate to not allow you to speak, including, by the way, not just politically. They didn't allow doctors to speak. Doctors who had questions about COVID, doctors who were saying, hey, I see an issue here. Hey, this data from the government isn't right. Hey, I have questions for the government. They prevented that from happening from doctors. Well, doctors can't say it, but some fool at Twitter who just has the power to do this, that right there, that's enough. The way you've solved this problem, the only solution that exists right now outside of $44 billion to fix the problem, the only solution is to keep saying, hey, you guys are frauds. Hey, you guys are preventing free speech. Hey, you guys are suppressing data and information and conversation. When you say they're suppressing truth, well, that's where it gets a little bit kind of interesting and kind of funny, because we're not so sure about what it is they may always be suppressing. What they're suppressing is voices. What they're suppressing is a point of view. So I would avoid the conversation of suppressing the truth. What they're suppressing is the ability for ideas to be discussed in the town square. They're preventing people from sharing ideas and thoughts that they decide are somehow unacceptable. They're violent. They're dangerous. They're not what government officials want. And yes, the Democratic Party is government officials. When the Democratic Party is reaching out to Twitter and saying, you can't say this, or don't let people say that, and don't let this one be heard, and don't, you want to argue that's not the government? That's a sophist's argument, a nonsense argument made by small people with small minds. If you had an in, if you were a progressive or a Democrat, you had connections in Twitter, and you were able to keep people from speaking. That's obscene. That's despicable. That's dirty. And the only way to solve the problem is to keep screaming about it. Yes, find other platforms. Yes, build other platforms. Yes, go in other directions. But don't ever, ever, ever stop, because what we know from Twitter, what we know from the spending of $44 billion is that they are exactly, it's Dennis Green. They are who we thought they were. The former football coach who said that. It was a fantastic post-game rant. They are who we thought they were. And they can never escape it. And they should never escape it. This should be a conversation that exists and grows, because this is about where you put your faith. It's like the New York Times. You want me to put my faith in the New York Times? Not happening. Never going to happen, because they've proven they're not about journalism. They're about narrative. And being about narrative is not something that gets our respect. Twitter, before Elon Musk, was not about being the town square and being a place that was going to let people talk. They were purposeful, and it took $44 billion to fix the problem. But take even a further step back. It took people like you and me and many, many others discussing the problems of Twitter to get someone like Elon Musk to say, wait a second, this can't work. We need better than this. It took us talking about this problem so often that others who may not align with us politically said, wait a second, this isn't right. This isn't American. This isn't who we are. We shouldn't be allowing any of this. Why aren't we getting information? Why don't we know what they're doing? My gosh, why is this person's conversation not being allowed forward? Why is this doctor being banned? This isn't American. This is beneath us. So really, we were the solution. Just took $44 billion. $44 billion. So Chris is asking the question, are we going to let them off the hook? And the answer is, let who off the hook? The people who worked at Twitter, what are we supposed to do? They're going to end up with jobs in other places. They're going to end up with jobs in other places. The lawyer from the FBI who signed off on those despicable FISA warrants to be able to surveil Carter Page based on the faulty, false lie that was the Steele dossier, he was out of the FBI and Twitter hired him. How do you solve the problem? How do you let them off the hook? What are you talking about? They just get jobs in other places because for the political left, based on their own actions, for progressives based on their own actions, this is who they are and this is what they want. This is their operating how modus operandi. This is how they do things. And when things don't work out, well, then they'll just get hired somewhere else. And then they'll rely on their government cronies, the same ones who are trying to say, hey, silence this one, silence that one, silence the other one. And there'll be investigations. You watch it. How many investigations go on against Elon Musk? Are we going to let them off the hook? In some cases, there's nothing we can do. This is how they ran the company. This is what they did. This is who they are. The only thing we can do is be aware of where they go to next and then not be a part of what those companies have to offer to the very best of our ability. And we need to be supportive of those who are building the kind of companies that allow for the openness, engaging in the content, creating the content like this right here. And don't forget to subscribe on Rumble, whatever you do. Subscribe on Rumble. It's always good to be there, and we're building and we're growing, and it's fantastic. This cigar is terrific. It just went out. This cigar right here, the Arturo Fuente Hemingway masterpiece. It is something else. Yeah, I've still got about another hour into this cigar to go, but that's okay. Because no matter how crazy the world gets, you got to take the time to not be crazy with it. You can be angry, you can be infuriated, you can be disgusted, but you always got to take a step back. It's imperative for your soul that you do it. Just has to be done. So when we look at Twitter, it's because we knew and because we shared, because we talked, and we wouldn't stop talking, even when the progressive left told us, called us names, told us to shut up, all those things. That got people interested, and that got people like Elon Musk to buy Twitter. And now we know everything. Wait, now we know what we know. Lord only knows what we don't know yet. Guys, I appreciate you. I always have. Thanks to Americans for Prosperity for making this happen. AmericansForProsperity.org. They are all about the free speech. Good people. Really sorry about the little audio issue there in the beginning. Glad we got it worked out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel on Rumble, rumble.com/TonyKatz. And I will catch you this weekend. Wait for it. And also, locals. Do you know about locals? TonyKatz.locals.com. You got on Rumble, you got the locals button right there. Just join. Super easy to do. I'd appreciate it. I'll catch you guys this weekend. Take care.